Hello, welcome to my podcast, Yorkshire Property Partners. In this show, we'll be discussing the latest news and trends in the Yorkshire area in the property market. My name is Fiona Conway. I'm Director of Fiona Conway&Associates Mortgage Brokers, and I am your host. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Paul Heap. Paul is the Director of Mallard Homes, a very reputable building company in our area. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Fiona. Hi.
Hello, are you all right?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Good, yeah, very good, thank you. So, thank you very much for joining the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
What I really wanted to discuss with you today is the changes, I suppose, in the property market and what people are looking for in their homes. I think since COVID came into our lives, people are now looking for homes that are multifunctional. They need them to be adaptable because they might be used for work, for children, for living, for relaxing. It seems to be a home for everything now. Have you found the same thing in the new build market?
Yeah, definitely. Shall I start just by telling listeners a little bit who I am and who Mallard is, just very briefly?
Absolutely, please do.
Yeah, we're a young, small house building company that we set up in 2017, based out of North Yorkshire, market town of Boroughbridge, and really just to sort of deliver new homes as an SME, focusing on customer service and sustainability. Setting the business up for 3 years, 2 of which was during the pandemic, has been difficult. We're on our 3rd scheme. Each scheme has been different before now. We found that it's gone well. It's been difficult. We've learned a lot. Whilst we've set up in the pandemic, we also found that the pandemic seemed to have caused a lot of people to decide that they want to go and buy houses. So the sales market has been very positive for us. So sort of good and bad things are setting up when we did. Yeah. Going forward, we want to be a highly sustainable company, and I think we'll maybe move on to that a little bit later. But in terms of the specific question now is has people's wants and requirements and has trends in housing moved during the pandemic? I definitely say yes. I think before the pandemic, there was a move by the larger house builders to build very open plan houses that had the effect of creating more spacious internal areas and giving people that feeling of a bigger house. Being able to entertain more because of the bigger spaces that they were creating. So that was the sort of the popular house type pre-pandemic, we should say. I think really, obviously, we've all heard about it, that the work from home, and a lot of people have experienced that they have worked from home, and they found that all of a sudden they need those quiet areas to move away from the children that have at times homeschooled, move away from the everyday vibrant or sometimes noisy family life, while one parent is or both are trying to work. So we have found that there is that drive and need for more more rooms rather than the open plan. I think what you'd also find as well in the marketing of new homes is that sometimes you'll see a new home marketed as 4 bedrooms. When you actually see it, it's 3 good sized rooms and a small box room, and you don't really see that until you actually go and view the house or see the plans online, or however you may look for the house. I think marketing these days, if that house type is being marketed in today's era, they would be marketing it as 3 bedrooms with purpose-built home office, just because that is the need of what people want. So that's probably going to sell more than someone, you know, with 4 bedrooms and one of which can hardly be classed as a bedroom. I think other things to look at are internet connection, obviously very important. We've had homeschooling as well as working from home, an awful lot of demand for broadband, and if you haven't got super fast fibre, then you might find that you've just not got enough bandwidth for the house to function properly in the lockdown era. So super fast will probably be a minimum that what is required. What we learned very quickly, that fibre to the door is a very good selling point, and you know, everyone seems to understand what that is. It's really, you know, 1 gig, 1,000 megabytes of bandwidth to your door, that really isn't being reduced if your neighbours are using theirs on a busy tea time, and if the kids are gaming or doing schoolwork, and the adults are doing Zoom calls or whatever, or they're streaming Netflix, or all of that is happening at the same time, then it can happen. So you know, fibre to the door is becoming more important, and we're certainly providing that as a small company.
Yeah, it's not just about the practicalities of how much space you have or how you use your rooms. It's all the technical side of things as well that people don't really consider, isn't it?
No, absolutely. I mean, you may consider that, you know, look, you wire one of the rooms up as a home office, so the electricity socket points are at desk level, say, or you've got some hardwired data cabling throughout the house. You know, some house builders, and we're one of those, are starting to think about those in our initial designs.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important and a really good point to make, because it's not something that everyone would think about. You know, it's an important part.
Yeah,
I think as well. I mean, I've known you for a few years now, Paul, haven't I? We've known each other for a few years, and I've always seen you as being a very forward-thinking house building company. So I think that all these changes that you're having to make, you know, I don't think will phase you, because, you know, you've always been sort of very adaptable. And I know definitely in the last year, we've been talking more about modern methods of construction, sustainable living. And as more people are working from home, as you're having to get a lot of people into the house, people are using more electricity, more gas. They're not using their offices anymore. You know, they have to be mindful of using their own. Those prices are also rising. A lot of people are, you know, struggling to afford to pay for those things. So what I really wanted to talk to you about is sustainable housing and what that means to Mallard Homes. I know you're doing a lot of work in this era at the moment, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, there's quite a long story there, and it's we haven't got enough time to discuss the beginnings of it. But essentially, as a new house builder, we're a very small fish in a large pond. And being headquartered in North Yorkshire, which is a very popular place for house builders to trade in, we were finding that you know, competing for land and therefore development and business opportunities was very difficult for us. Pre-pandemic, we were really already starting to think about making the houses live workspaces, and you know, we have that general ethos that, you know, in business we want to do good, and you know, that's the way we are, that's the way I am, and then, you know, the business will thrive and grow and profits will be made through doing good for other people. So we started to think about that, and you know, as early as spring 2020, in development number 2 for us, pre-pandemic, we'd already decided to put air source heat pumps into our second scheme. And we've put them into our current scheme as well, and we like them and they work. But so that's way before the sustainability or the last November's COP26 conversation, when the country as a whole all started talking about air source heat pumps maybe being the panacea for that sustainability. We were forced to sort of write a new business plan because we were a new small fish in a big pond. So thinking about that, the business plan was really, well, we want our homes to be highly sustainable. And the vision is really making sustainable living possible for all with beautiful and affordable homes. And so every home we'll deliver from now is going to be, part of that vision. Air source heat pumps, we've done it. The country's talking about it. We were there before that conversation got going. Do we think it's the future, as the current conversation seems to be suggesting? No, we don't. They're very expensive. There's probably not enough engineers to fit and maintain them. They're actually not a straightforward system for house owners to use and operate. It's a new way of living or using your heating system. And coming back to that vision of making sustainable living possible with beautiful and affordable homes, we wanted to sort of make our homes available to the everyday average person, and to make that sustainability available to them. Not only that, but in order to advance our business in time, we said, well, why can't we do something that other builders, other house builders aren't doing yet? And really, that was relatively straightforward for us to come to that decision. And what can that something be? And in our mind, it's net zero carbon homes. We asked ourselves the question: can it be done now? After a long search for an architect, we concluded that the answer to that is yes. And can we do it with beautiful and affordable homes for the everyday average person? Yes, we can. So that's where we're going. Maybe not the forum now to sort of give too much away about the house types, but it can be done through a fabric first approach. And what that means is that it's done by building the structure of the house properly, building it in a very airtight, very highly insulated way, so that it really retains an awful lot of the heat that is generated naturally through the everyday living in there, and therefore doesn't really require such a major heating system as the typical British house has done in the past, and everyone's currently thinking it may still need through an air source heat pump. So if we do a very highly efficient envelope, then we don't really need much of a heating system in there. And that's something that we've been developing, and we're going to drive that forward with our business model and deliver these houses in relatively short order from now.
I think that's fantastic, isn't it? I think as a business owner, the important thing is to find that value, that you are competing against other companies, and it's to find that thing that makes you stand out, and to do it in such an ethical way as well. It's fantastic. It's that's who people want to work with, and it's definitely the kind of people I would want to work with.
Thank you.
So I think it's a great way of giving the company value and making you stand out above others. I think it's it's a lovely thing to do.
The government is actually forcing all the house builders down that route. A lot of the volume house builders are going there, and they're doing all their research in the background. But at the moment, they've got a very, very profitable business model in their own right. So they're quite happy to keep doing what they're doing and delivering homes today with gas boilers. But sustainability is being forced on the industry by government and the building regulations, in terms of Part L of the building regulations, which is energy conservation and sustainability. And then in 2025, the Future Home Standard. will be first introduced. And that requires, I'm just going to read the words here, all new homes will be required to be equipped with low carbon heating and be zero carbon ready. So 2025 is probably the first time that we'll see the vast majority of new build houses built without gas boilers. And that's why the air source heat pump conversation is really gathering momentum at the moment. We've said that we're going to be easily surpassing that future home standard very, very early on, probably as early as late this year, early next year. And every house we deliver from there on in will surpass it. So going well beyond the government regulations and delivering net zero carbon homes.
That's fantastic. That's really good to be ahead of the 2025 deadline. I think that's great. Like I say, forward-thinking company.
Forward-thinking company with growth ambitions.
Absolutely.
That's there's only one way to achieve that really, and that's to have we think there is with an innovative business plan.
I think as well, another thing that you've touched on previously is the importance of communities as well. Trying to build a sustainable community. And I think that's really important, especially from what we've seen in the last couple of years. People are more open to popping in, to make sure their vulnerable neighbour's okay, doing shopping for somebody who's poorly. And I think with in some areas, I'm not really seeing that the communities are coming with the homes. There seems to be a lack of that. And I find it really interesting that that's something that you focus on. It's something you are wanting to promote for your builds.
Yeah, no, very much so. I mean, I think I touched on earlier that after we'd decided in the direction of travel of the business, it took us quite a while to find an architect that shared our vision. After a year's searching, we did find that architect, and the way we knew we'd found the architect was that they were able to articulate back to us our vision much better than we can tell ourselves what it was. And not only was that vision net zero carbon in the way that the house is built and the way that the house operates, but also sustainability to us includes sustainable communities. So like you say, I mean, what do we want to do? We want to create not individual, but our schemes to become communities that interact together. And that makes people happier. They're available to, like I say, the everyday average person. It improves people's health and well-being because the master planning of our schemes, we want them to include communal social areas. So that may be little games areas, whether it's bowls courts or barbecue areas or communal allotments, that kind of thing. So it gets people out of their houses. So, they're not barricaded into their front or back gardens by 2-meter high fences. They've got the ability to chat in the street and interact, and maybe also create streets that don't have cars or that are car free on them. So all these things that we're thinking about, it's not just about the house; it's about creating a community as well.
I love the idea of the allotments. That really is like the cherry on top of the cake for sustainable living, isn't it? That really is, everything. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's an awful lot of different companies that have sprung up in the COVID era. And I was reading a magazine last night just about some of these companies, and they're all, a lot of them are sort of centered around green and health and well-being and delivering plants for if they've got a little garden on their windowsill. You've been able to now buy over the internet the plants for that. So if you or I said to our neighbours, let's create an allotment, and you lived in quite an urban area, then it was maybe quite difficult or virtually impossible to do a couple of years ago. But But now there's ways and means and little businesses offering assistance for that, and we can tap into that and sort of provide all that advice and guidance for our communities that we're creating as we're sort of building them and selling the houses.
I think that's fantastic. Like I love doing, it's working with other local businesses, isn't it? You can only thrive when you've got great people around you, who are promoting great things.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I agree with that. So what is the future for Mallard Homes then? I mean, you've come such a long way in nearly 5 years, especially through COVID. So what happens next?
Yeah, I mean, I look back and I think, we've been hit by the COVID era, but actually I think there's been more positives than negatives because of it. And what we did was we turned the business around in terms of, gave it a direction. And now, we've spent a good year really positively promoting that new business plan and starting to talk about it. So, early days, the conversations were slow. For us, it's about acquiring development opportunities, talking to, various collaborators to help grow the business. But we definitely want to grow the business. We're a Yorkshire-centric business. So we'll stay largely within the confines of Yorkshire. And, we are looking to deliver our sites and communities in generally any area of Yorkshire. And, we're currently working on development opportunities in the Wakefield region, in the Leeds region. And, these will be price points of, 2 and 3 bedroom semi-detached houses in these, in these conurbations. So, we're certainly not doing executive housing, like I said before, beautiful and affordable for the everyday average person. And that's how we're looking to grow the business. We've got a stated ambition to be building 50 homes a year in the next couple of years. And from then, who knows, move on.
That's fantastic. 50 homes a year. That's really, really good. Lots to come. We'll keep an eye out and see how things are going for you. I know there's certainly properties that my clients would be interested in, and definitely in the right areas. So I'll certainly be letting everybody know about them.
Thank you. Okay.
So finally, Paul, I suppose the last thing to ask you is, people will want to know more about Mallard Homes now. So where would they go to find out more information about Mallard Homes?
All right, thank you. A shameless plug. Our website is generally kept up to date, so that's www.mallardhomes.co.uk. We're also pretty active on all the socials, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I think generally. So I'm not sure of the handles or whatever you might call it on those social medias. If you search for Mallard Homes or Mallard Homes UK, I will just qualify that there does seem to be a Mallard Homes in the US.
Not quite there yet.
I know they've got a Facebook page, so if you're looking at some sort of massive timber frame buildings or timber clad buildings that look sort of like they're in the US, they probably are, and that's not us. But,
that's not you. Fantastic. Is there anything else you would like to mention whilst you're here, or is that everything covered?
No, I think that's everything from me. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you for inviting me on today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up again soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Paul. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.